So, we have some news for you guys.
Bitch, are you pregnant?
I feel like you're pregnant.
Are you fucking serious?
We are pregnant! Yeah. And I'll tell you the story of how we got here in 3, 2, 1. So how did I get pregnant? It's a pretty funny story because we basically talked about it and we didn't say, okay, let's like have a baby now. It was more of like, when it happens, and I never wanted to be like the woman who's like, let's go conceive because I'm ovulating and like always be stressed. So it was something that was in the air for us, and when it happened, I always believed it would be the perfect timing from the universe and God. And one thing that Sebastian always said is he wanted to do an Australia trip before we have kids. So we planned this Australia trip and we went there for like a month and a half and
conceived there.
got pregnant in Sydney actually. So didn't think it would happen. Also, I had so much problems with my ovaries growing up. Like I always had ovarian cysts and I just never thought it would be so easy. And I got off birth control 2 years ago, but Sebastian was also taking like a supplement, which is like for hair growth. So it actually, we discovered that it impacted the sperm production level or something like that. And it was harder to conceive as well. But he stopped it like 2 months before the trip to Australia. So I guess it was like birth control. But anyways, we both were in this, place where we were, I guess, ready internally and had a great trip in Australia, as you saw in the other vlogs. And when I came back, I missed my period and it was like day 1, no period, day 2, day 3. And I was like, okay, sometimes this happens when I travel such long distances because I was flying from Berlin to LA and back a lot and my period was all over the place. So I was not worried or like didn't think that I was pregnant. But I remember at one point I was like, I feel like something happened and I felt something in my stomach because like I'm so in tune with my body and I feel a lot and everything. So I was like, oh, I felt like, when it gets attached, like I felt something and I was like, oh, I think I am pregnant. But then by the time when I got to Berlin and I was like, okay, my period is fully missed, I was like, well, probably, I'm in my head, I'm definitely not pregnant, whatever. And Sebastian remembers that I was like looking to, move and redecorate some stuff in the house, and he was like, you're already acting like a mom. And that was his little sign of like, maybe she is. So I was at the doctor's the next day to give blood and test my vitamin levels, and I do this like every year. And I was like, I missed my period, so maybe I can give blood to test if I'm pregnant or not. And he was like, okay, while we're at it. So took my blood, and then later that night I came home and Seb was like, I got you a pregnancy test. I was like, I'll do it in the morning, whatever. And the next morning I peed on the stick, and always when I did my pregnancy test, I would like take it and I would put it facing down, and check in after a couple of minutes. And here I basically peed. And in my head, I always imagined when I'm gonna start like being pregnant and I'm gonna do my pregnancy test and tell Seb, I would like film my whole journey and film my reaction. And I just thought at that point, in that moment, I was sitting on the toilet and I was like, I'm not pregnant, it's just in my head. So I started doubting myself. So I peed and I wanted to do the same thing. And by the time I took the stick to put it face down, I got a glimpse of it and it was already positive. And I was like, that was like the fastest plus sign ever. And I was just like, I was a bit shocked because I told myself that I'm not. And I was just like, what? That was so fast. And right away I wanted to call my best friend Sophie from London, and I was like calling her and she's like, hi babe, I'm in the office. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. Oh my god, I'm freaking out. And then she started crying and I was crying and she was like, Sony, it's so beautiful, like Seb wants it more, even more than you. And I was like, I know. I'm just like, all these thoughts in your head there are like unfiltered thoughts go through and you can't really control them, and it's like there's no reason, but they come in and it's just like so overwhelming at that time. And obviously I've never been pregnant or had like a positive test in my hand, so it was a lot. So I was really happy I got to talk to her like right away. Then we were supposed to go for lunch and Seb was like, should we meet downstairs? And I was like, why don't you come up? And he already like felt it in his head that I was. So I placed the pregnancy test and filmed that at least. And it was so beautiful. It like fully depicts our like relationship. And yeah, that will be a whole separate video for you guys. So if you really want to see the reaction, let me know in the comments. And so we keep this going. But I truly believe, I tell this to everyone, for some times I didn't know really what my life purpose was, and I was telling this to my best friends, and it's like, yeah, I was working as a model, I was earning money, I knew where I was, but I didn't really know what is my purpose, like what's the long run. And when I found out, I went to the gynecologist the next day, and it was 4 weeks, nearly 5 weeks, and I was like, already felt so connected to the baby, even though it looked like this little circle and there was like nothing there, but I was so connected. And I just remember like I was like, this is my purpose, like this is what I want to do in my life, is like being a mom. And that's just truly so wonderful. And it's true, now that I'm pregnant, the universe plans it and makes it happen in the right time in your lives, because like I could have gotten pregnant within the last 2 years since I got birth control, but I was just not there yet. And there's so many things I had to work on myself and do and figure out. And then when this happened, now I'm just so like zen and relaxed, and there was never even a thought said out loud or thought of that we shouldn't have the kids. So we're just so ready. And yeah, so this is the story of how I got pregnant in Australia. And very cool experience, and I'm so excited to be on this new journey and embrace this growth as a woman. It's an amazing feeling. It's knowing that you are actually growing a new human being inside of you, which is so crazy. And now I am on week 17, and we find out the gender soon in a week. So I'm just happy to take you guys along on this beautiful journey and be my true self and have no filter, because I am, it's my first time being a mom, and I'm learning as I go, and we aren't meant to be perfect and know everything. So I'm just happy to be here and take you also on this journey and learn together. So yeah, so many videos coming soon, but wanted to have this little opening. We got here. Love you guys.